Recently, there has been a great deal of controversy surrounding a man named Sun Guoyou, an ordinary Chinese citizen who has caused a stir by planting trees and afforesting land. Some people believe that Sun's afforestation efforts are a selfless act that is improving the environment and benefiting the people of China. Others believe that Sun is simply using tree planting as a guise to seize land and reap huge economic gains. In order to clarify the truth about these matters, I will share my own opinion. Firstly, it can be confirmed that Sun Guoyou's tree planting efforts are motivated by public welfare. In 2003, Sun Guoyou spent 500,000 renminbi to lease 18,000 acres of desert land near Mejiaten in Lingwu City, Ningxia, for a period of 50 years, with the goal of afforesting the area. In 2003, the average monthly wage in China was 1,170 renminbi, and an ordinary Chinese person's annual income was only a little over 10,000 renminbi. Today, 500,000 renminbi might not seem like much, but in 2003, it was the equivalent of half a lifetime's income for an average Chinese person. You might be a little confused as to why the leasing price per acre was only 27 renminbi. Well, that's because the land was barren and unproductive. Although the leasing price was low, buying tree seedlings, digging irrigation canals, hiring workers, and maintaining the trees all required money. These were the main areas of expense. However, let's take a look at Sun Guoyou before 2003. He started out as a construction worker, contracting jobs such as road repair, bridge construction, and building construction, and had already earned millions of money. As a contractor in the construction industry, he naturally knew how lucrative the real estate market was. In those days, if Sun Guoyou had chosen not to plant trees but to continue working as a contractor or upgrade to real estate development, his net worth would have been at least 1 billion by now. But did China lack contractors? Did China lack real estate developers? Or did China lack someone to plant trees and afforest the land? At a critical moment in his life, Sun Guoyou sacrificed his personal interests and devoted himself to an unpredictable cause. Mejiaten is a backward and barren desert area. In 2003, which millionaire would be willing to go to Mejiaten to plant trees? In those days, weren't millionaires doing more profitable businesses than planting trees? Without a charitable heart, it would have been impossible for anyone to invest all of their savings in a poor and remote area. In the first year of tree planting, Sun Guoyou invested 3 million yuan. Let me give you a simple example to illustrate how difficult this decision was. What do you think today's young people in China would rather spend 3 million yuan returning to their hometown to plant trees or spend the same amount of money buying a house in a first or second tier city to become a new middle class member? One is to become a farmer who endures the wind and sun all day long in rural desert areas, and the other is to live in a big city. What do you think they would choose? Moreover, Sun Guoyou didn't just invest 3 million yuan, but intermittently invested tens of millions of yuan, selling all his houses to invest in tree planting. It is unfair to say that Sun Guoyou has no public interest and is purely seeking personal gain, as it is not in line with the truth. I looked it up and found that the state began subsidizing afforestation in 2004. However, from 2004 to 2009, only state-owned public welfare forests were subsidized at a rate of 5 yuan per mu per year. It was not until 2010 that personal public welfare forests were subsidized at a rate of 10 yuan per mu per year. Therefore, we cannot assume that Sun Guoyou was planting trees to make money from the state subsidies during the first 7 years of his tree planting. 12 years ago, a coal mine was discovered in Mejiaten. Coal production requires the extraction of groundwater, which would affect the trees planted by Sun Guoyou. In order to protect the local ecological environment, the two parties signed an agreement in which Shenhua Energy promised to treat a portion of industrial wastewater to meet the standard for irrigation water and supply it to Sun Guoyou's forest farm. However, after the contract was signed, Shenhua Energy reneged on its promise, citing the high cost of wastewater treatment. This led to Sun Guoyou kneeling down and begging for water. Before the water use conflict, Shenhua Energy and Sun Guoyou had also had an economic dispute. Shenhua Energy illegally occupied more than 1,000 mu of Sun Guoyou's forest farm by violating mining regulations. Later, the two sides went to court, and Sun Guoyou was awarded 7.2754 million yuan in compensation. It was from this moment that the villagers in Meiji changed their opinion of Sun Guoyou. They believed that Sun Guoyou, an outsider who was not a local resident, had obtained huge compensation by planting trees locally. But what was the reality? Did Sun Guoyou know that there would be a coal mine here before planting trees? If there were no coal mine here, he would not have received this compensation. This is essentially a conflict of interest between local villagers and Sun Guoyou. An outsider came to plant trees in an area where locals were very poor. When the trees grew, a coal mine was discovered, and the economic benefits of planting trees belonged to Sun Guoyou, while the compensation for land expropriation due to coal mining had to be paid to local villagers. So, what do you think the local villagers would support? The coal mining company or the tree planter? If tree planting itself could make big money, why wouldn't the local villagers sell their houses and plant trees? When Meiji discovered the coal mine, it became a four-way game of interests among Sun Guoyou, the coal mining company, the local government, and the local villagers. Sun Guoyou was alone in his fight, as the local government, coal mining companies, and local villagers all stood to benefit from coal mining. This collision between personal interests and collective interests is common in rural areas. Villagers value short-term gains and have an urgent need to escape poverty and become wealthy. Furthermore, villagers collectively own the land, while Sun Guoyou only has the right to use it. Interest is the fundamental reason why Sun Guoyou went from a desertification control expert to an enclosure land fraudster farmer. But can Sun Guoyou be solely blamed for this? If he planted trees after discovering the coal mine, then he would indeed be a land fraudster. However, the truth is that he planted trees first, and the local coal mine was discovered later. If the coal mine had been discovered first, would the local villagers still have leased 18,000 acres of land to Sun Guoyou at a low price? If 20 years ago, Sun Guoyou had not gone to Meiji to plant trees but had continued to work as a contractor or in real estate development, he would probably be worth over 100 million now and would not be embroiled in any benefit disputes with the villagers of Meiji. The local desert would still be a desert without over 1 million poplar trees. If the coal mine were found under the desert, the local government, coal mining companies, and the villagers could all profit. Unfortunately, 20 years ago, Sun Guoyou leased 18,000 acres of desert, worked hard for 20 years, and planted over 1 million poplar trees. Can we deny such a great effort? In the western region of China, many afforestation projects are privately contracted, similar to how individuals helped raise war horses for the country during the Tang dynasty. The government provides subsidies and allows these contractors to profit. It's unreasonable to expect people to plant trees but not have enough to eat. Otherwise, who would continue doing this work in the future? If significant mineral resources were discovered in other forestation areas, should we cut off the water supply and let these forests die? There is only so much water. Should it be used for trees or for coal mines? This raises a fundamental question: when we can't have both, do we choose wealth or nature? Planting trees benefits the present and the future. Coal mines, on the other hand, are visible wealth. However, there is a significant disagreement in Sun Guoyou's private afforestation project, as it is not a state-owned enterprise. When he plants trees and creates forests, they become his private property rather than being for the public good. When public welfare afforestation is linked to private wealth, most people cannot empathize. On this matter, I stand with Sun Guoyou. Private property rights are inviolable, and this is a basic right granted to every individual by the Constitution. Sun Guoyou contracted the desert land, and he planted more than 1 million populous Euphratica trees with 20 years of hard work. He is acting legally and reasonably. It's unfair to cut off his water supply just because we found coal. If we deny property rights, the world will be in chaos. Before the mining company came to extract minerals, both parties signed a contract guaranteeing that Sun Guoyou's forest would have water. But who violated the contract when the cost of sewage treatment was too high? Should the mining company not compensate for the death of the trees? Does 20 years of hard work not have value? Well, thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions, just leave them in the comments section. We'll come back as soon as possible and check them, and then we'll give feedback. See you next time.